Welcome to day 19 of my 3D tutorials. If you join me part way into this tutorial series, please refer to my website www.adjoboo3d.com. On here is located my tutorials, the first 4 on my home page and the rest in my tutorials tab here. If you require any assistance, critiquing of your work or anything like that, or you're generally looking for a 3D artist for your studio, please contact me on a.b3d@outlook.com. Alternatively, you can follow me on Twitter at AndrewB3D. Last time we're discussing about exposing parameters in Substance Designer, going through the dirt layer and exposing the level and the seed, and all the parameters are located here so they can be called into the engine and be changed within the game's engine. Also, last time I showed you how to export the substance out. Now, last time I didn't have chance to explain anything. I didn't get a chance to explain much because, I can't get my words out. I do apologise. I didn't get a chance to explain much because I was running out of time. But when you export, last time we exported, we went to publish and we exported the SBSAR file. And then we went to the graph and export outputs as bitmaps. And this is what, if I can open it up. This is what we have located here. The bitmaps and SBS file. Now, you're probably asking, what's this? What is this SBSA file? Well, you see, this is the substance archive, which is the actual substance archive file that this graph contains. So it's all this compressed into like a substance archive file. It contains all the primitive exposed parameters. It contains all information. It's the file that can be imported into the game's engine. Now, as you can see, I exported the individual bitmaps as well. Now, the reason I did this is certain software don't recognize complete physically based rendering, nor does it accept the actual archive file. Like Maya, for example, it does not officially support the archive files. It has to have external plugins like Substance plugin. It also has, I think it's called Stingray, physics-based renderer or something like that, shader or something like that. Stingray physically based shader, stuff like that. Now, sometimes the Substance plugin don't work, which means you had to use the Stingray material, which only uses bitmaps. Also, you can use online browser 3D websites that display your models in a 3D environment. The one I use is this website here, SketchFab. SketchFab is an online in-browser 3D software. You cannot build in the program, in the actual browser, but you can import your models. So when I open up my coffee machine, for example, it takes a while to load up. But this is my 3D asset, my model, displayed in a 3D environment. So you can now, I can now send this link or share it onto social media sites and Twitter and websites such as those to display it. You can then open this up in any browser, supporting browser, and show potential employers your 3D work on their move. Now I like to put my asset on here so I know what it looks like in the games engine before it's actually in the games engine, because it uses the similar kind of technology. For it to work, it uses the actual FBX file, and then the bitmaps. All these are models using bitmaps. It does not allow the actual archive file, only bitmaps. So to do that, you press upload. Now for uploading, you have to have either the model file, then import the bitmaps separately, or the model file and the materials in a file. And if you recall, I start a new page, a new folder, salt sub. Now this will be the file that I import in here. The only difference is the archive cannot be in there because it will take memory up and it will not recognize it. So one thing we need to do is save the FBX file in this folder. Now we can locate the FBX file by going to your my documents, to the actual project folder that you created in Maya. Easy to locate. Click on scene, and there is the actual FBX file. But if you remember, we used the low. Now before we can copy it into this folder, we need to take out that plane on that is sitting on, because it will still show up on the actual model, on the actual page. So we now no longer need that plane, so we can remove it. So the problem is you cannot just click and drag it into Maya. It will open Maya, but Maya will not see it because it is an FBX file. It's not actually a Maya file. It's an FBX. And while we load that, as you can see, all the SketchFab models that I have can be linked onto my website. So it's good to link your portfolio with your SketchFab, like so your employers can turn on all of your assets and explore each model that you've done in a 3D environment, like so. Now that Maya is actually open, this is what you get: unrecognized file type. because it is an FBX, it cannot recognize. So to recognize it, you actually got to open it from the menu. So you've got to go to Open Scene, Salt Low, and it'll still come up there. That's because the plugin is not enabled. You have to let Maya catch up with your actions. So plugin. This is where all the plugins is located. You've got to scroll down and locate FBX. Here it is. Auto load. Okay. Click this little checkbox and locate the file you want to open. There is FBX. Open. Locate the FBX file. Like so. Don't save. Now this should open. There you are. It opens. I know it's a long-winded process you have to do, but when it comes to opening the actual file, it cannot see FBX. You have to manually open it up first. So times you just need to delete the plane, go to export selection, click on Salt Low again, click yes to replace it, because now you're just replacing it with just the salt model. Close Maya. Don't save, because if you save it, it will save it as a Maya file, which we don't need because we've got it in the previous versions. Go into the actual file, duplicate the low, drag it along, and rename it. This time I just call it Salt FBX. For this, I'm just gonna, you're probably thinking, okay, why are you doing this? I'm gonna remove this out of the file. And I'm gonna put it into the actual substance file in my documents, like so. You're probably asking, why are you doing that? Well, this is where I said I was going to place all my substance files. So all my substance maps are located here that I've created in here. So if you locate it in my resources, you have the position, the world space normals, and here they are here. It renders them out. It bakes them, saves them into the file that you specified, which is substance on here, and then saves them out as a file, and then links them. So when you make a change here, it will also change here. You just need to rename it. Just reload it. Simple as that. Now you probably are, as I said before, the reason I did this is because when you import this into SketchFab, it does not recognize it. So now what I'll do, I compress it. I go to compress, and it creates a zip file which SketchFab can only recognize. So go to SketchFab, choose File. Normally you can click and drag, which is the most easiest way to do it. So click and drag, and here's all the files. Continue. So I just call it, since this is pepper, call it pepper grinder. Call it the description. So I say a pepper grinder that I modeled in Maya and textured using substance designer for a tutorial series, and a cafe scene. Here you choose a category. So for me, this is going to be for a game. It's an asset. It's also a work in progress. It is also a miscellaneous. It's an object that you use every day. It's also an offer. The reason you add categories is because then people who's searching for these particular things would easily locate it, and it will add it to their recommended. As you can see, it's a bit fiddly when you're dealing with it. So select, there, and it locates it there. Add tags, so tags would be pepper. This is pepper. You just add tags, hashtags to what it is. Kitchen. Wait, I spelled it wrong. Kitchen. You don't have to add hashtags. I do apologise. That's only for Twitter. You can see I'm used to Twitter much. You just spacebar it, and it adds it. Maya. Substance designer. Asset. Every day objects, so on and so forth. I don't want it as a private model, and I normally, depending on what it is, I will allow I normally allow downloading. For this I will, because it's for the tutorial. Click continue. It's progressing it, and here it is, the asset. Let me increase the size of the window, because we'll now be working on here. you click on 3D settings. To texture, you have to go through the 3D settings, and here we are. So now you have to click, since this uses more than one renderer, classic, so the classic diffuse specularity kind of workflow, the physically based rendering workflow in MatCap. Since this is physically based rendering, we click that, and as you can see, it immediately makes it shiny. And then you go into lighting. You change to the environment that you want to use. I normally touch this afterwards because, as you can see, it changes the lighting depending on the actual model. It usually all looks good. Depend if you are done it correctly. It's physically based. When physically based correct, PBR correct, then no matter what lighting you use, it will still look good. But I always deal with this afterwards. Turn off replace background, and it gives the background behind. It keeps the lighting, but it gives you a chance to go to your background and upload an actual background. I always use one that I preloaded. Here, it's a nice background. It's clean, and you can clearly see the model. So basically, I just create a gradient map at the background, a grey gradient map. Go to materials. It has all your materials selected here. Since we're just working on one model, it will just have the sort material. Later on in my tutorial series, when we're making the food mixer, it will have many different materials. So I'll show you through that, how to do it. In the workflow, you can have specularity and metalness. This changes the roughness and glossiness map between those two. Like I say, it depends on what workflow you do. As you can see, it changes with specularity, albedo, specularity, and metalness. As you can see, it changes it depending on the workflow you use. Since we use the base color, base metallic workflow, or our text is based on that, so keep on metalness. Select down the drop down menu the base color, and this is the actual base, and it's just the case of hooking up all the appropriate map. There's the metallic, roughness, choose texture, and then roughness. And as you can see, it's slowly progressing into your asset that you created. Normal is default switched off, you have to turn on. And then choose the normal map. Now this is where things get a little complicated. Each software uses different normal maps. One, depending on the actual orientation of 3D space it is. So even though this is a correct 3D space, it may not be correct because of the workflow that Substance Designer used in comparison. If it does not display the normal map correctly, click Invert Y. Basically what that does, it inverts the Y, basically the direction of the normals that it processes. So now it's displaying it correctly. And again, ambient occlusion is by default switched off. So you have to turn it on choose the texture, and as you can see, nothing happens. That's because it does not include the specularity. You know, it is actually ignoring at the moment the specularity values. So you got to click that box, and immediately it's turned the ambient occlusion on. Again, if you turn it off, on, off. So it depends on what effect you want. You can keep it like this, or you could turn it on. It depends on which way you like it. I'm going to keep it on, off, sorry. I find it's quite good, so I'm going to keep it on. Cavity, you don't need to worry. The transparent file, we only touch this. We can turn it on because we can turn it off because we don't have an alpha map. But if we had a alpha map, we'd be working on this. When we be working the food mixer, there may be a transparency file in the actual asset. So I may show you this next time. There's no emissive channel, so we can turn it off. And we only need it to be double-sided because there's no transparency, so we don't need to write. And this is basically what you do. Now, in terms of lighting, we now alter the lighting for the actual texture to make it look good. We can go for basic studio, which does lighting in a studio kind of environment. Studio 2. Each one does a different lighting. I like to go to Terrace by Granines, or whatever you pronounce that word. That's a good one, normally. Also, another good one is, if I can find it, Glazed Patio by Restaurant. It makes sense, a restaurant near a restaurant. And as you can see, that made the texture really decent. So I'm going to be using this one. Now find a good orientation to the actual model that looks interesting and save view. Basically what this does, this is the thumbnail of the model. So this is how it will start up every time someone loads it up. So you click publish, save now and publish, and that's the link. I'm not going to share anything at the moment because I'm going to go into edit, copy this, the description, enabled, show options. On here you can turn on certain text options and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. And then share. So you can share Twitter, bearing in mind Twitter has a word count, so delete words that you don't need. Since it's going to be my Twitter account, don't need that. And now it's all about rearranging words, rewriting it. So you can get some hashtags in, get more audience. Pepper grinder, that pepper grinder modelled in Maya, and textured using Substance Designer, and we know it's part of a tutorial series, so we can take rid of that and keep for a cafe scene. You can keep it, but first of all, do the hashtag. So I always go hashtag games dev. Basically, it's a hashtag for all developers for games, and hashtag games art. I always do these two. They are really good, two good hashtags. So you get all the people who create the game art and development. So we can just get rid of this. There you go. I like that. Tweet. Do the same for Facebook. Click on Facebook. Copy. Post to Facebook. Do the same in LinkedIn. So you get all your social medias. And then yeah, simple as that. Also, if you want to enable it in your website, just copy all that iframe HTML code. That will send you to all your visitors to this to the site. Now, I think I will leave this tutorial here. We covered a lot for social media and doing all about the model, how to import in SketchFab. So now, tomorrow I'll be discussing to you how I import it into Unreal Engine 4 and do all the processing and turn it into a good blueprint. So thank you for watching, and follow me, and do follow me. We've got many more tutorials to come. Thank you for watching.